and Tobago. Blessed day, nice weather. But my friends, the weather is good. But we, at this present time in Trinidad and Tobago, are functioning, my friends, with darkness upon the land. Real darkness. And the projection of the darkness as to when it will come to an end, my friend, there's no immediate sight of the end of the darkness that we are facing today, my friends. First, I want to just touch on some persons have been calling me, asking me about the back pay. You know, the amount of calls I've been getting, my friends, I thought I must be the PSA president. Yeah, I had to be. Just yesterday, I had to visit the St. James Medical Complex because the staff down there calling and they want somebody to come and explain to them what is happening with their increase in salary and their back pay. And nobody from the PSA, in fact, is coming and sharing any information with them. So they said, Preston, we know you're home, you're no longer working, but if it's possible, you could come. So I did go, my friends. The workers, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the public servants, the RHA workers, they want the back pay. They want the 10% back pay and they want the increase in salary. Our comrade, good friend, one who would have stood up against the evil of the employers on behalf of the workers, a lady, a nice lady, Miss Jennifer Frederick. She called me, she said, Preston, what is happening with our back pay? She and all want to know, she's confused. A man named Oral Saunders, a few days ago, he and all want to know what's happening. So like everybody at this time in this country wants to know what is happening with the 10%, starting at 10% back pay and the increase in the salary, my friends. So right now in Trinidad and Tobago, we have a lot of issues that we could treat with or discuss. One of them is happening at this present time. I don't know if it is completed, where the ministers and government is now being drilled in the parliament by the Finance Standing Committee, identifying the monies that have been allocated in the budget, where and who will be receiving these monies when time to spend it. So that is also happening. My friend, it has some strange stories coming out of that exercise as it relates to the public purse, you know. So we have that too. So I want to first, and also we just got news in the newspapers today. Well, there appear in the newspapers where the vice president of Venezuela is now saying that if Trinidad and Tobago does not get the gas, the dragon gas deal from Venezuela, if they don't get it, our economy will collapse. Now that is a foreigner saying that. That is not the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, my friend. That is a person. These are non-Trini. Right. So I just mentioned these things, my friends, so we would have an idea as to what is happening in Trinidad and Tobago at present. Just a quick overview. But my friends, the workers and the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the public servants, public officers, RHA workers, they have been lied to. They have been lied to, informing them, telling them that when the UNC win, everybody will win. And in their winning, or part of their winning would be a 10% starting point increase in salary with negotiations, my friends. So it could reach from 10, it might reach 12, it might reach 11%. But that is what they have been promised, my friends. But when time to deliver, now throughout the campaign, the reporters, the economists, the analysts, they would have continued to ask the Prime Minister how and where she'll be getting the monies, my friend, to fund these promises. And she kept saying that we will find the money. We will find the money, my friends. Well, her government in office at this present time, the UNC, they went to our parliament on 2 occasions and read 2 budgets. One in June and one in October. Well, we're still in October, my friends, a few days ago. And public officers, public servants were looking forward to hearing how much monies would have been allocated in the budget, my friend, the budget statement, so that the negotiations could start. You know, my friends, the Minister of Finance, when questioned about the monies, he admitted that no monies have been allocated, and they, meaning the UNC, does not do business like that. We would first negotiate. Public servants, I want to listen to this, you know. We must first negotiate, so we would know how much we have to pay out, and then go and look for the money. Now it sounds sensible, it sounds realistic, and nothing wrong with going that way, my friends, if a person believes that that is how it's supposed to be done. But let me share this with you, my friends. The reason for the budget, money allocations for 2026, so that the government, a vote will be taken, so that the government will have enough monies to run this country with the finances and the programs. The debts, my friends, the debts also will be included. Good. And one of the debts that the government, my friends, is that they have incurred based on their promises is the 10% to public servants, or negotiations starting at 10%. So the people in Trinidad and Tobago were not expecting the government to actually state the figure, but an estimate, my friend. That is what the budget is about. So you would put aside an estimated amount going forward, because the record, you would have the record as the government as to how much public servants, how much RHA workers, how much public officers, and how much retirees, my friends. Yes. How much retirees we have to pay. So any good Minister of Finance, my friends, would have that figure instilled in the budget statement, so that one, it would bring reassurance that the government in fact intend to keep the promise that brought them into office, my friends. Vote for us and you will get this 10%. Now, if the government is now saying that they cannot put or declare the amount of money or even an estimate until negotiations finish, then why then didn't they start the negotiations in June, July, August, my friends? Immediately after they came into office, they went to the parliament 2 months after, in June, to get more monies for this country, to run the country. But the public servants and the promise of the 10% was of no concern to them, my friends. Good. Even after that, even in the budget in June, they did not even declare that we will now engage the Public Service Association and whichever union again, my friends, yeah, to start the negotiations in preparation for October budget. The reason I'm sharing this with you, my friends, I am letting you know the brain that God gave you. You don't have to believe me. Just do all thinking for yourself. So it is clear their intentions was not to pay public servants, my friends, this 10%, and the increase, my friends, was not. And now to come and tell us that you first have to get an estimate. Now I'm going to tell you how that is a lie. Because in that said budget, prepared by the same finance minister. There are financial estimates in that budget, my friend, and I could identify one more than what I want to know, but let me just give you an example. The finance minister set aside $475 million to add to $310 million that he says they already have that in an account. So he's going to join these two together because, listen, they are going to now bring new programs to have people employed. Listen, we're talking about people who, according to him, they are not employed, you know. But he is able to make an estimate as to how much money is needed for those people and the amount. Yeah, nobody's employed. None. So you don't think, using his own principle, that they should first try and get people employed or get people registered to be employed, and then you would know how much, and then you go and allocate? No. No, my friends. Conveniently, you cannot allocate for public servants until the negotiations, my friend, is completed. What they're not telling us, my friends, is that they have lied to us on more than one occasion. On more than one occasion, my friends, concerning that 10%. It was 10% with the consolidation of COLA and big back pay for one period. That became a lie because the 10%, according to them, is now for 2 periods. Yeah? Without anyone speaking about the consolidation of COLA. My friends, that's another lie. But what they are not telling us is that, and public servants supposed to be frightened at this present time, that if somebody come to offer them the money, they're supposed to be afraid. Because if in the space of 2 months, so many workers, over 50,000 of our workers, our friends, our neighbors, our colleagues, yeah, have been sent home, my friends, without a recession being declared, without a pandemic being declared, my friends, and persons are still being sent home. You don't think that and the government is delaying as far as possible to address the 10% that is owed? You don't think that if they really force and pay it will have some repercussion? You don't think so? That we are so lucky that we will be paid and remain with our jobs. My friends, I was wondering, on the brink of celebrating Diwali, my friends, on the brink. Diwali was Monday. Sunday, Sunday is the weekend, my friends. On a weekend, the Prime Minister and a set of ministers in government, rather than be preparing for Diwali, they are in a building in somewhere in Cuba. The Prime Minister declared that persons could come and apply for jobs. You imagine that? On that day, Sunday, apply for jobs, my friends. And the jobs now is jobs that vacancies in the public service. If there's vacancies in the public service, then what is the rush? The vacancies was always there for how much years? What is the rush, my friends, that you need on a Sunday to have people on the brink of Diwali, my friends, telling young people, whether old, young, whatever age, that come and apply for a job on a Sunday, my friends. A government, with involving government ministers in a building in Cuba, in the Cyclone Dome or whatever you call it, my friends. And they said that the Cyclone Dome, the reason why we are there is to assist those persons who are unable to apply, you know, people need help. Yeah. So the only people in Trinidad and Tobago in this national drive, yes, that would need help is those persons in Central. So we had to put the center in Couva because the people in Arima, in Sangre Grande, in Scarborough, in Diego Martin, in Port of Spain, they don't need help for the same jobs that according to them is in the public service, my friends. According to them, public service jobs. My friends, what is happening? The same way they have lied to the public servants, my friends. If you cannot pay and keep even the contract workers who were doing the same public servants job, yeah, you couldn't keep them in a job, do an evaluation and see if they're fit enough, and if they, in fact, because they have been doing the job, you couldn't keep them in the job. So you send them home. Yeah, you send them home, my friends. So you create your own vacancy. Yeah. A fake vacancy, my friends. Because with even the contract workers, there was still vacancies in the public service, my friends. And how come government ministers getting involved in the advertisement, in the assistance of my friends, they have turned even a job offer into a political rally. You know what I'm telling you? When that was supposed to be done, the RHAs have a board. All the RHAs have a board. The government minister, the public service, my friends, are governed by HR department and minister in each ministry. And if the government says, hey, identify the vacancies that exist in each ministry and also in the RHA, my friends, and let them know, listen, we need to fill these voids and these vacancies, then what is going to happen? Each ministry would be able to identify the HR department will now have the exercise and they advertise, we need people to clean, we need people to drive in each ministry. That is not, and what happened here now is that the HR in each ministry will now be able to when you apply, you come in, the suitable candidate. Not so that's how I know people, I know things that work here. How government ministers involved in that, my friends, on a Sunday, and we are accepting that. My friends, listen to this. You know why that was done? Because I was confused, you know. I wonder about what could make on such a holy time, a holy period where people would have been preparing, people would have been fasting, focusing on the celebration of light over darkness. Even that and all they contaminate, my friends. Even that, the Diwali celebration, my friends, have been contaminated. They contaminated that and all with their darkness, my friends. Darkness that have been brought upon the land. So I was really wondering what could make the Prime Minister, my friend, you know why they did that? You know why the Prime Minister and her government did that with this drive? I'll give you two reasons. The first one, they knew that the Venezuelan vice president would soon be making an announcement, my friends. They knew that the Venezuelan vice president will soon be making an announcement on the secret OFAC license that they would have received from Mark Rubio, the Secretary of State in the United States, my friends. Because that is a big secret. They left Trinidad and Tobago declaring that the Dragon deal was dead, my friends. At no time anyone reported to us that as a government we will now open back or try to open back or we are interested in the Dragon deal, and we will try to communicate with the Venezuelan people and see if in fact the government and see if we could open back, my friends. They didn't do that. They didn't come to us and say, listen, we're going to try. No. They went behind our backs, believing that we will be getting from Saudi Arabia, from Bahrain, from in the Middle East, all them Muslim countries that went by, according to them, they report back that. Yeah. Because Grenada and Guyana tell them, you don't know what nonsense they're talking about. Good. What could have made our Prime Minister, my friends? Because it's an emergency, it's an emergency to have persons apply for jobs on a Sunday. On a Sunday, my friends. On a Sunday, on the brink of Diwali. Why? Why? Knowing fully well that there are mechanisms in place, yeah, for years in this country as to how persons go about getting a job in the public service. Yeah? They go on past and bypass the mechanism, my friends. Yeah. That is in place for a person to apply for a job in the public service. What could make them that desperate actions, my friend? They knew, but they didn't know how soon she would have made the statement, my friend. You know what she said? She said that the Secretary of State in today's newspapers in The Guardian sold our Prime Minister pregnant birds, my friends. Listen. The Venezuelan Vice President, Delcy Rodriguez, I think is her name. She said the Secretary of State in America have sold our Prime Minister pregnant birds. No. Could somebody explain to me what is that? Birds that be pregnant? That is in the newspapers, you know. Birds that be pregnant? Birds that lay eggs and hatch the eggs, my friends. How? And listen, the bad part about that is when they sell our Prime Minister the birds that is pregnant. Somehow they're able to get birds pregnant, and they sell she. So she came to Trinidad, she came back to Trinidad with pregnant birds, my friends. So they sell it. But you know, in order for it to sell, somebody buy it or bought it. Our Prime Minister bought it and bring it down here. Tons. Tons, my friends. It's another word. Tons. All you have to do, apologize to these people for the nasty things you would have said about them. That is all. Yeah? You put in Trinidad and Tobago first. Your ego is first. Your ego and your nasty mind is first. That you cannot even humble yourself and tell them you're sorry. You're sorry for all the nasty things that you would have said about Maduro and his government, my friends. That now, you as the Prime Minister of this country, Trinidad and Tobago, have to go crawling to them, my friends, on your knees, yeah, and look at what is happening. Listen, Trinidad and Tobago, listen to what the... Go and read that for yourself, you know. Go and read that for yourself, you know. Yes. And it was top secret. Because I remember when she came back, a man called Stuart Young and the former Prime Minister was asking what are the terms of the OFAC license. Yeah. They said, no, that's top secret. It was top secret also when they were going for it, because none of us knew. Yeah. But they believe now that it's their top secret, my friends, has been exposed. Yeah. Their top secret has been exposed. That the Americans sold our Prime Minister pregnant birds. Look, my friend, it's in this paper here, you know. I mean, let me tell you this. You see there? If Venezuela doesn't export gas to Trinidad, that country's economy will collapse. Listen. And it will impact the Caribbean. Marco Rubio is selling pregnant birds to the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. what this lady is telling us here, because they don't call she a drunkard all about the place. Internationally, she's known for that. A total drunk. Now, this lady is saying that our Prime Minister is a complete dunce, you know. That's what she's saying here, you know. A complete dunce, my friends. That is what this lady is saying here. Yeah. You know why? How could you, and listen, the license that she leave America with to come down here and make a press announcement that good news. Good news is that we will be getting Venezuela, we're going to negotiate with Venezuela for their gas and their gas field without anything for them. And she went across with that, you know. She went across. Yeah. She and this dunce one they call Munilal went across with that, you know. My friends, it's about 10-year-old in my family. Yeah. Rubio could have never do that. You know what I'm telling you? It's about 10-year-old in my family, my friends. Yeah. You feel they could best if it send KDL. Yeah. Best they had sent KDL George to represent we in the United Nations, in the UN. Yeah. I'm telling you. Because he certainly was not coming back here with any document in his hand. Yeah. To go Venezuela to extract gas and oil from them and tell them to sign here and nothing for you. Like what the Prime Minister went to bully the people on them out. Like bullying. How you could agree? How you could agree? What kind of madness is this? My friends, all you understand what I'm saying? The Venezuelan president and vice president, my friends, you know what she also said? She said that if we, Trinidad and Tobago, does not get the gas deal from Venezuela, my friends, if we does not get the gas deal from Venezuela, our economy will collapse. Now, is it that the Prime Minister, why the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, why we have to wait on somebody outside of this country to tell us how important it is that this PNM Dragon gas deal is to the country, my friends? How important? Come and tell us how important this PNM Dragon, because I waited to know, my friends, the PNM Dragon gas deal, how important it is to this country. And when did you realize the importance, how important it is? Because you went in the parliament, our Prime Minister went in the parliament, my friends, and called Maduro a terrorist, the steal elections, a narco government, narcotic, the trading in narcotics, yeah, human trafficking. Well, guns and ammunition, let's go with that, and murdering people, let's go with that. Yeah. And launch a campaign, my friends, calling on the United States to prevent us and the government of the day from bringing this gas deal home. That even she and those tons of people that'll be following would benefit, my friends. Yeah, the tons of people who will be following her. Yeah, Totish. For even them and all, and the children to benefit. Yeah. Now, the Venezuelan vice president is telling us that without their gas, my friends, because let me tell you this, Guyana, the president in Guyana, the prime minister in Guyana said that they don't have no gas or any oil for Trinidad and Tobago. They don't know what she was talking about. After being in opposition for 10 years and doing deep research, yeah, that's what she came up with, you know, Grenada. Yeah. The people in Grenada want to know what she's talking about. Yeah. So our Prime Minister, my friends, is now known internationally as a drunkard, because not one person in the international world I would have heard mention about the drunkenness of our Prime Minister, you know. Not one. Not one. I recently heard where in Grenada, a former member of the Grenada Parliament, whether it's senator or minister, was declaring our Prime Minister a drunk woman, a drunkard. Yeah. Now, she went to America and they sell her some pregnant birds. Yeah. Pregnant birds to come back and bring for us, carry that down the road. Yeah. Why did Mark Rubio and them did that to our Prime Minister, who is a close ally, my friends, who is the only ally in this scenario here where they're bombing innocent people and killing them in these boats and them? A man who was leading the military might of America in the Southern Caribbean seas here, wherever Admiral his name is, he resigned. He resigned. He said he didn't sign up for this kind of work. His job is to fight war, not advantage and kill innocent people like that. He resigned. Yeah. Yeah. What could make, my friends, Kamala Prasad Bissessa go to Venezuela, come in here and lie to us, telling us a good deal? Yeah. Good news. That's good news. Good news. That's the good news. The good news is that we will get Venezuela gas and oil and build ourselves and put money in our bank and thief the money too. Yeah. From their same gas and gas deal. We and my friends will thief the money. Yeah. That is it. And the Venezuelans had to sit down there and watch. Yeah. Yeah. That's what you went Venezuela and do? My friends, that is the reason, my friends, why this fake job, what do you call it, application, yeah, fake. That is what it is. It is fake, my friends. Any real government wanting to employ the people of Trinidad and Tobago, my friends, it must be open to all citizens and all ministries that fall under the public service, my friends. You let them know, send out a memo, advertise in the newspapers, jobs are available, highlight the jobs are available, and let people come and apply for it. What government ministers doing on a Sunday, on the day before Diwali, my friends, light over darkness we celebrated in this country, you know. Trying to change the narrative, my friends. Trying to change the discussion. Yeah. And the discussion is, come now and tell us, come and explain to us, what is this, my friends? Come and tell the people of Trinidad and Tobago the true state of our economy, my friends. Come and tell us, because the Prime Minister before, throughout, he keep telling us what it is we're doing, why we're doing it, tighten up, and why we have to tighten, why are putting this, why are doing this, my friends. Yeah, he said that if we don't get the dragon deal, he said we cuckoo cook. You know what I'm telling you? He said that. Yeah. If we don't get the dragon deal, our cuckoo cook. Just a few days ago, my friends, one of the biggest foreign exchange earner in the PoinTTs complex threatened to close down and leave. Yeah. They say there's some port dispute and port wherever. My friends, the gas that is needed for the operations, my friends, and that's just one of the company, and that downstream companies. In one of the daily newspapers, they said about 600 direct with the company, and also it among about 1,600 people would be losing their work as a result, my friends. 1,600. That is to add to the over 50-something thousand that have been sent home wickedly, my friends. After promising the people of Trinidad and Tobago, nobody would lose. No one would lose. Everybody wins. Who is the everybody, my friends? Who? Who is the everybody they were speaking about that would win? Tell us. My friends, it have a lot of public servants who would have retired. They call them the retirees. Some of them not in the best of health. They have been bearing the same as everybody else, but they would have worked and served during that period that the 10% was offered, my friends. You know what I'm telling you? And they are looking forward. They are looking forward to their monies, the back pay and the arrears of salary. Well, no longer the arrears, but the back pay. They are looking forward to it. What year, my friends, will we be getting the 10% back pay and those who are employed, the 10% on your salary? What year? What we have gathered or what we have gained from this government, my friends, is taxes that we know that is being imposed indirectly on the people after they themselves would have declared that you cannot tax a country out of or into prosperity, my friends. Yeah. It's everything a property tax that they place on the landowner or the property owner, but they're not calling it property tax. It's just a tax now. Yeah. It's tied to your property here, but it's not property tax. Yeah. And those persons who are renting from you, when you pay that tax and that increase going up, they know that cost will be coming on to them, so their rent going up. And then now, so they will pass on the rent to the customer. But that's just the rent alone. The business that they're doing, my friends, if it's food, the gas to cook the food, the meal, these meals that they'll be selling has gone up in these 100 tank, wherever you call it. So that's our next cost. That is besides the food itself gone up. Yeah, the food gone up because, let me tell you this, it's 15% tariff on everything coming from America. America placed on Trinidad and Tobago, you know, and our food is imported stuff. So the food itself, besides the port charges, are 15% tariff, my friends. And there are some products where it has gone up by 100%. But more than that, another charge on the port is the containers itself. Yeah, to empty a container, or to store the container, to even open the container, that would have gone up from maybe if it's 500 to 1,000. So listen, but the finance minister, he is saying that the business community is not about profit making, it's about nation building, my friends. So he is the first finance minister. We have to find out where he got his degree to. Where he went and studied, my friends. Well, hear this. He said the friends of the people is the banks. He said the bank, no, we're going to levy, we're going to put a tax, a serious tax on the banks and their assets. We're going to do that. But the bank liked the customers so much that, and the bank was always a friendly kind of place to the people. So, don't worry. That is what the Minister of Finance, my friends, is saying to the people of Trinidad and Tobago in the budget debate. Now, tell me, don't you think a charge of impersonation of a finance minister should be brought against Dave Tanku? A charge of impersonation of a finance minister, my friends, should be brought against Dave Tanku. Yeah. That is what he's telling us. That the banks, when they raise the taxes on the bank will, my friends, the government hasn't raised nothing and the bank has raised things and put things in place and find things to put in place to take the money. That means, nobody to help them to do that. So now they get help and they have an excuse. The banks now have a real excuse to advantage the people. They were doing it, yeah, where nobody's affair with them. And he's telling us that don't worry. Don't worry. My friends, 600 million US of our foreign reserve gone missing. 600 in 5 months. 600 million US of our foreign reserve gone missing. Gone missing. And I am saying gone missing because because I've heard persons raise it and nobody seemed to want to share information with us as to what it is about and who gone with it. Or if it has been shared up and who to share it up with, my friends. So the people of Trinidad and Tobago wants to know that 600 million US that has gone missing from the foreign reserve. Who have it, my friends? Who have it? Where is that money? Because it is also said that our foreign reserve, my friends, is also at its lowest point in decades, not 2 years, not 20 years, 10 years is a decade. It didn't look like, when they say that and write that, it didn't look like it's 20 years, Decades, they say. On top of that, my friends, they must come and tell us what is the effect, what is the negative effect that we are facing now that this international rating agency, Standard & Poor's, has downgraded our two main banks, and our country, my friends, have been downgraded. What does that mean? Yes, brother.
Take care.
Lovely. What does that mean? These are the discussions that the people, these are the discussions, my friends, that the people must come and they must come and explain to the people. Come and explain to the people what happened to that 600 million US and who gone with it. Because, my friends, the previous government was in office and an allegation was raised where 2.6 billion of our monies could not be accounted for, as though it was missing and persons steal the money. And the government today was in opposition, and they went running all about the place, all in the newspaper, all about, yeah. And then when the government said, okay, we're going to now launch an inquiry to find the stolen money or missing money, the same people who declared that the money cannot be found and unaccounted for went to the High Court, my friends, with a man named Anand Ramlogan, yeah, filing an injunction to prevent the investigation from going on. Yeah. So we don't know up to this present time, man, who thieved the money, if anybody thieved the money, but the same government, the opposition now in government, you know, they're not talking about the missing 2 billion and 2.6 billion that they claim as though it was missing and stolen. But now, my friends, the former Minister of Finance, short-lived, with a man named Stuart Young, asking a question as to what caused us to be missing 600 million US in 4 months, 4 or 5 months, and nobody is answering that question. So, my friend, the reason why I'm speaking like this, public servants, I suspect, because let me tell you this, not too long ago, our Prime Minister said that she will do all in her powers to make sure that public servants remain in their jobs. Remember what she said that? You all might not have heard that, my friend. That's the thing I doesn't miss, you know. What could make our Prime Minister make such a declaration in a time when you're supposed to be growing? Because the reason why we remove the PNM, the oppressive and the wicked, and we expect growth and development, and because that is what was promised, and jobs, 50,000 new jobs. Where are the new jobs? Because the jobs in the public service that has not been filled is not new. Where is the companies that were supposed to replace the thousands of CPEP, URP, and reforestation workers, my friends? According to them, they're going to re-employ them, but not under CPEP because it's a ghost. Ghost, they say, my friends. Ghost. They call our people, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, because they don't have any union to represent them, they'll treat them and call them all kind of nasty names now. Yeah. After you fire them, their family and their children have nothing to eat. They have no money, nothing at all. You then call them ghosts, my friends. So that would clear her conscience, so that she might be able to get some sleep in the night. Yeah. So it's not people they're treating and advantaging. It's not people, it's ghosts. My friends, I am seeing a nice lady. Good morning. I'm seeing a nice lady.
Please tell Miss Felicia Thomas I want my money.
A nice lady. Her name is Miss Jennifer Frederick. She has appeared, and she just reminded. She just reminded me. To Preston, please tell who.
Felicia Thomas, the president of theater, who driving she big BMW.
She driving big BMW.
Yes.
She said she would like. She said,
10%.
she said, Preston George, tell Felicia Thomas, who driving these big BMWs. All we want, we don't know big BMW. All we want is the promise, 10%, the 10%, starting at 10. That was, even if it didn't start, just give you the 10%. Because it looked like you might get back pay and 10% and no jobs there, my friends. Because the war is shaping up. The Prime Minister may come and say, listen, which one do you prefer? You prefer your job or the 10%? Because if the Venezuelan Vice President could tell us they have what is needed to revive our economy in their hands, and the people who are supposed to approach them to make a deal with them is people who hate them. My friends, Kamala Prasad Bissessa have replaced Nicolas Maduro, the president, in our parliament, you know. In our parliament, you know. She acknowledged the president of Venezuela is a man called Juan Guaido, my friends. How you come to be sending OFAC license and trying to meet with this drug pusher, narcotic trafficker, murderer, because that's what drug pushing and things entails, the full works. Human trafficking, money laundering, guns and ammunition, my friends. How is that the person you have a problem engaging in right now? How? How? That is the example that's being set by our Prime Minister, my friends. And you know she's calling now on CARICOM to come and intervene, because we have a real big problem in Trinidad. We have 200 Venezuelans in our prisons, and we want them to go home, and the people in Venezuela, not even meeting them and tell them, all right, bring them home. No, if my friends, she don't want, that was never an issue. That's never an issue. What she want now, she's trying to open up a channel that she turned she back on, my friends. The people, our Caribbean brothers and sisters, Mayor Motley and Ralph Gonzalez and Holness, these are CARICOM, my friends. She are now crying to them, yeah, trying to see if she could open up a line after she turned she back on them, my friends. Yeah. Dunce, a complete dunce. Miss Fredericks want to know where is our money? Where is the 10% that was promised, my friends?
Vote for UNC.
Vote for UNC?
You'll get 10% from starting a negotiation.
Starting point is 10%, my friends.
Now the Minister of Finance said they have no money.
Well,
This year, next year, they have no money because it has no negotiation. And he now talking about it could be 4%, 5%, it could be 10, it could be 12, it could be 11.
all that I said?
Yeah. So he say, yeah, sure.
Well, my friends,
There's no money. Look, Mr. George,
where is the...
I don't want to be all up in it.
Where is the money?
I want to know where the money is.
Well, I think you could come and ask for the money here too, you know, one time. Yeah?
More than to all those who locked on and listening to
Yes.
Preston Points. My concern this morning is with the PSA. While I'm no longer a member, we were promised, well, not me, public officers who are PSA members were promised by Felicia Thomas and Leroy Batista when he was the president of PSA. They encouraged people vote for the UNC. They went down to Labor Day and they carry on. They say the PNM wicked and evil, not for workers and all kind of things that they right to do whatever. They promise workers that the negotiations, they met with the opposition who was coming up as our assessor at the time, and they said that get them into office and the starting point of negotiation will be 10%. Apparently public officers bought onto that, which is their right to support who you want or don't want to support. That's not my issue. My issue today is this. All of a sudden it changed from starting point of negotiation for 10% to no money put aside in the budget. Now the budget is something where it does forecast. It's not an economist, so I mightn't say the right words. It does forecast, it does predict.
Yeah.
So you say oil selling $50 a barrel, you peg your budget based on the $50 because you tell yourself that money will come in to help to do A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So what has happened? We know if a government is going to engage the CPO to treat with the workers or unions for negotiation, they will put aside something in the budget. Whether it's a 50 million, 70 million, 80 million, just projected because in their mind they say, okay, 4%, this is what it will cost recurring expenditure to pay back pay all that, or 10%. There must be a figure. We are now being told by the Minister of Finance, when asked about that, I'm paraphrasing, them not like the PNM, them don't just, put out figures there, so them can't put no figure out there when no negotiations start. That is not the conversation we were hearing before. So if they haven't put aside anything, no money for public officers, because of the fact negotiation hasn't started. So then I'm asking Felicia Thomas, why hasn't negotiation started? I want to also ask her, because the last time they show off in front of the court, all that, they win the big case, which was very academic, in that the special tribunal cannot deal with matters that are not before it. So the special tribunal had made it a 5-year period, 4%. Leroy Batiste and Felicia and them took that to court. The court agreed with them, Section 22(1) of the Civil Service Act. An award could only be made by the special tribunal for a period of 5 years. So their court agreed with them. So that matter is supposed to be out, the special tribunal, and we're supposed to have the document for the period 2014, 15, 16 to go and sit down in front of Dr. Dindial. Why has Felicia Thomas not taken the document? It's a document, it's not conversation document. Wage proposal, period 14, 15, 16, 3 years. Why hasn't they taken that and gone and sit down in front of Dr. Dindial so that the Minister of Finance could see that negotiation started, so they could start up for money in place for this 10% starting point negotiation? That is starting point then. And if a negotiation is starting at 10%, you the employer offer 10%. You can't come now and say 8%. You can't say 7%, 6%. You have to be saying 11, 12, 13 anyway there. So I'm surprised to hear the Minister of Finance saying, I'm paraphrasing, that no negotiations have started, so them can't think because it could be 4%. Where 4% come from? It could be 5%. It could be 11%. It could be 6%.
One mad.
Come on, Preston, tell me where them figures come from. We heard 10%.
I don't tell them a charge of impersonation of a finance minister should be brought
Some kind of thing has to happen, but I not only the finance minister now, I am the president of PSA who driving BMWs. I don't know if it's PSA buy it or she buy it. She got permanent in Wassa. She was a temporary worker in Wassa, some clerk or some kind of thing. She get permanent now. reign 60 something, big monies with that, and perks with that. She's still being paid from PSA members' money every month as the president, and she's doing nothing. She went around with she big belly, you know, appealing to people. She's a mother, she understands all that. She belly up to she throat when woman that stage would just go and lie down, put up the foot, waiting to give birth. She was all over canvassing with she belly big. 10%. 10%. Vote for the UNC. The UNC promised them they're going to start negotiation at 10%. Money, we getting money.
Yep.
We getting money now. Where the money? Now the Minister of Finance say, well, they have to go and negotiate. We can't do nothing about that, you know. Well, they have to go and negotiate. I'm asking Felicia Thomas, has she taken the matter out of the special tribunal? I want to put this on the table. They could come out and say I lie. That's quite okay. Or dispute what I'm saying. The only proposal that the PSA has is for the period 14, 15, 16. That's the only thing. They don't have no wage proposal for the period 17, 18 or 19. The only thing they have is 14, 15, 16. Why hasn't that gone in front, Dr. Didier? So we have no 6 years, you know. The government might be saying the 10% starting point is for 6 years. But that 6 years will depend on 2 negotiation period, and you have to have wage proposal for it, and comrade.
Yes.
You can't go and sit down in front of the CPU and say, listen, 17, 18, 19, public officers deserve 15%, you know. And at the end of the conversation, you have to have documentation, you have to have evidence, you have to have data to support why public officers. Where the groundwork? There's no groundwork for 17, 18, 19. They would not interested in that. Comrade, I just want to ask you, do you know for the period 14, 15, 16, what Solomon Juke was offered a percentage for that period from the Minister of Finance at the time? Remember?
Is that the same period where he said that he had an envelope and he will open it?
Yes.
Never open?
Yeah, never open. But he has 9%. And he was advised, it is alleged by Leroy Batiste, Felicia right there, not to accept the 9%.
Politics.
How did that work for public officers?
Your own interest come first. That is what is happening.
We saw Miss Felicia all up on the stage and called me, man, stop that chuppetness. We heard of the Labor Day. She bring out all the PSA people. I don't know if it's WASA workers are not interested. And they were talking, the UNC, vote UNC. Today, how much months after the elections?
Will be about 5 or 6 months.
5 or 6 months after the election. That was an election promise.
July, August, September, October. 6 months.
That was an election promise, and
Yes.
that negotiation would start at 10%. And
Starting at
how come it had no money put aside, comrade? Two budget, exactly. And it will have nothing for 2026.
Well, the budget, the minister admitted that no allocation was made.
So then what Felicia Thomas fool people with while she get installment in WASA as a permanent worker in a big range, 60 something, big money, everything, driving BMW. I understand it's now 1 and I hear it's 2. I don't know how true. And them living nice. The promise that she promised public officers, it remains a comfort to a fool. Because there's nothing happening for public officers, and there's only one period, 14, 15, 16. There's no 17, 18, 19 because there's no paperwork for that. So what do we do, comrade? I'm asking you. I want to take over your life. Come now. Come on, tell me. Come on, tell me. Come on.
My friends, I am glad, I am quite happy to have this nice lady here with us. She really told me, Preston, go and tell people she wants your money.
Yeah, we want with money.
And she has turned up to voice her concern. and to continue the cry that we want our monies. And those persons who have retired, my friends, there are persons who have retired a few years ago and they are looking forward and waiting. You know, some of them may not be in the best of health. I would need that money, that increase, that back pay to assist going forward. So we need the money. Like Max and Howe said that, you know.
They get people to put on PSA jersey and cost me when I was saying settle for the 4%.
That is true.
And let me move on. They cost me on TikTok, TalkTik, Instagram. They cost me all over.
That is true.
They have on PSA jersey and they cost me sting. I power for the cause. I have union business and whatever. But they cost me. How they not cussing Felicia Thomas today? Because we ain't get no money. It didn't even have $10 put aside in the budget to say, well, when all they start to negotiate, they have money put aside. Because they don't know it's a 10% increase.
Yeah.
So they're supposed to work out recurring expenditure, back pay money and everything, and have it rest down there.
The whole budget is about projection and estimate. And there's a projected cost where the 10% is considered as part of the promise.
It should have been included.
Note, that is why I said a charge of impersonation of our finance minister should be brought against Dave Talbot. Because no finance minister who have any kind of sense at all would not include that. Because there are other areas in the same budget, estimates have been made, projections have been made.
But come on, even work. What is talk of 4% and 5% and 6% and 12%? Where that come from? It was 10% starting point negotiation. What the Minister of Finance talking about, and Felicia Thomas Pratt, she encouraged all your public officers.
Well,
she encouraged all you. She went wrong. She went in cooperative and telling the workers in cooperative during the PSA election, vote for the UNC. I have the recording. Vote for the UNC. The UNC said they're going to honor starting negotiation at 10%. That is so much months ago. That should have been on the agenda. 2 budget read by this UNC government, and they mention nothing for public officers. And all they quiet. How public officers get so soft? How public officers get so quiety and frightened? The public service is where all the academics come from. The academia, the intelligence, everything. We run the scene. When this country didn't have a government for 14 days, was it? When it had the 1818. It's public servants run the country and hold it down. It didn't have a government in place. That is how important public officers. And why you sitting down and letting a dunce like Felicia Thomas put all in this situation on all and nothing to say, and she driving, she big nice car, she get promotion in Wassa, and she living nice. And the little 10%, because 10% starting point for cooks, cleaners, maids, machina. And only letting she play with that, but all it was costing me all over. I said, take the 4%, it's not enough, we know that. But the reason why I was saying that is because Watson Drew could get a settlement for 14, 15, 16, and he refused it. It was 9% we hear. So then come COVID and recession and all that. I say, yeah, what's going on?
And below that he never opened?
Yeah, no, he opened because he know what it is.
Well, he didn't bring it to us.
He never tell us nothing. He said 2019, he said it was Christmas time. He ain't go open the envelope, he go open it 2020. When 2020 come, he say, listen, me open nothing. Election in Tobago and wherever, and at the end of that. And we see the same thing, Felicia, and public officers. My bright comrades in the public service, always sitting down and accepting this. Always sitting down and, you don't have to like BNM, UNC, this one. That is not the issue, it's we money. Bread and butter issue. And that woman, Felicia Thomas, promised with Leroy Batista at her side, vote for the UNC. And public officers will start the negotiation at 10%. People, but oh God, yes. And people fall and vote for that. And today, They ain't put aside no money. That was a campaign promise.
Yeah.
So to show you how they don't care about public officers, let me tell you something. It have a poem by a pastor, a German pastor, I think it was. He said when they came for the Jews, he said nothing wasn't a Jews, I'm paraphrasing. When they came for the Unionists, they said nothing wasn't a Unionist. They come for the Christian, this one, I said nothing. Now when they come for me, I look around it and nobody. Public officers, all their jobs on the chopping board. If all they didn't know or want to realize it, all their jobs on the chopping board. And finally, I want to say with these CPEP workers, URP workers, go and join, beg you, go and join Bankers General Workers Trade Union, that is the name.
Yes, yes.
Go and join, beg you. Because CPEP is trying to disassociate itself from the workers as if CPEP, the company, was not the employer or the workers who was working cutting grass. The ghosts and them who was cutting grass and had the place clean, taking up trash, all the garbage and all them things. When Carnival finished by Ash Wednesday, you walk in, want to know if you ever had Carnival. Any event it had. They went up Grenada when it had the storm and all disaster. Local and regional.
Yeah.
Them CPEP workers who is ghosts, they went up in them country to help all them people. Yeah. CPEP is trying to disassociate themselves from these workers as if they never existed. Workers, I know it might be hard, but somebody help somebody at $10 or $20. Go and join Beg You.
Yes.
I understand Beg You is taking up the case.
Good advice.
Go and join Beg You and give the strength for them. I will come and stand and fight with all you too. So I just ended on this to take over Mr. Preston.
You're welcome. You're welcome. My
But
friends,
Felicia Thomas, we want we money. Me, all they convince me, no 4%. I want my starting point 10%. I want my money. I want my money.
will you find Jennifer money for she, please? My friends, I want to just tell you all thanks. Thanks once again for giving us this opportunity to spend and share this part of the morning with you. And I am sure that before the day up, I just might turn up again. So thanks once again and have a blessed day.
To 16, 17 to 19, the very same period that we rejected the offer of 4%. So, as I've said in the past and I'll continue to say, we look forward to no later than this budget, September, October, where workers can finally see that 10% offer placed on the table so that we could recommence negotiations at 10%. And of course, we are behind for a period. (14 to 16, 17 to 19), the very same period that we rejected the offer of 4%. So, as I've said in the past and I'll continue to say, we look forward to no later than this budget, September, October, where workers can finally see that 10% offer placed on the table so that we could recommence negotiations at 10%. And of course, we are behind for a period.
Meanwhile, Finance Minister Devendranath Thakur is telling the opposition that they will not find any financial provisions in this year's budget for the proposed 10% salary increase for public servants, as wage negotiations have not yet begun. The Standing Finance Committee of the Budget debate commenced this morning, with the Ministry of the People and Social Development being the first cabinet portfolio up for scrutiny during a tense morning sessions, with the opposition bench squaring off against not only Minister Vandana Mohit, but the chair of the proceedings, Jagdev Singh. A question was raised about if the allocations for salaries included the proposed salary increase. However, Finance Minister Devendranath Thakur said it would not be feasible to do so until negotiations have been completed.
There has been no negotiation started. So the assumption that there's a 10%, 12%, 0%, 5%, whatever your assumption is irrelevant at this point. We have to wait, and your version of accounting might be different. But we have to wait as a government until there is a negotiation started before we preempt and put some arbitrary figure in the numbers. That is common sense.
Well, San Fernando East Member of Parliament Brian Manning asked the minister if negotiations would be concluded in this financial year. However, the minister told him that question did not arise in the context of today's discussions.